Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, Season 3, Episode 778.
From the sleepy suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, there are assembled the world's two greatest podcast hosts, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Sean Whalen.
Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast. I'm a big fan of variant colors. My love for Batman is that stuff. Let's talk some comics.
And Jim Segulin.
How's it going, eh? You know me and Superman. I'm really loving what we're doing. Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast.
Their mission, to discuss DC Comics in books, movies, and television several times a month in 1 to 3 hour episodes. And to serve all mankind.
Outstanding.
Welcome to Raging Bullets. I am Sean Whalen, drnorge, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim, the sensei of the whatnot, the Duke of You Know, the Salt Mr. Teachery, the Minister of More Gooder, wishes Sean would stop sending him cinder blocks as a holiday gift, and of course remains the elder statesman of the podcast, Segulin.
How's it going, eh?
Jim, on this episode, we're going to be talking about Black Canary Best of the Best, issues number 1 through 3, and the first of a two-part look at this crazy miniseries. We are sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what is going on over at DCBService.com?
First thing, if you search Black Canary, you will see the cover 2 that we talk about. That's absolutely brilliant. So if you didn't pick up that cover and you're like, oh man, when I hear Sean and Jim talking about that, I want that cover, you can still get it from DCBS. So thank you, DCBS. But also, we have Batman RIP Absolute Edition, hardcover, 38% off, only $62. And the new Halloween event starting up, DC's Satanic Panic, one shot, 38%, only $6.19. So thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, they always have their deals of the week. And we have Creature Commandos Presents Frankenstein, Volume 2, $29.99 regularly, 48% off, only $15.59. They also have Justice League International Trade Paperback, Book 2. This is $39.99 regularly, 48% off, only $20.79. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support our show. I also want to give a special shout out to something that's running right now. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. If you happen to be in the Los Angeles, California area, this is going to run through August 10th. And the tickets are $35 for general, $45 for front row. This is a special 120-minute play musical based on Superman that they're putting back in this limited production. I've got links in the show notes from Foster Cat Productions and this current event. So please make sure to shout it out. If you got friends that live in the Los Angeles area, get the word out that this is out there, because it's super cool that they're putting this production on, and we wanted to make sure to support it. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on today's show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Let's talk some Black Canary.
Come on, Skreel. Let's pay these Plutonian beam makers a visit.
Before we get started on the comics, on July 22nd this year, Chuck Mangione passed away. He's a amazing jazz trumpeter, but to be honest, I always say he's more than just jazz. It was a beautiful combination of funk. There was some Spanish guitar. It was just some brilliant, beautiful music. And one of the reasons I played the trumpet in high school, his song Feels So Good. I heard it and I'm like, I have to play. It was the thing that a lot of the kids at our age, especially the band geeks, the trumpeters, everybody was about Maynard Ferguson, who's an amazing trumpet player. But for me, it was always Chuck Mangione. Just his groove, his style is just that smooth jazz that's absolutely beautiful and brilliant. And I just wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge the passing of this man who influenced my life so greatly, and just let you all know, if you've never heard his music, Feels So Good. You can hear why I wanted to play trumpet, but that's just the tip of the iceberg with him. There's so many amazing stuff out there. And it's funny, he had a soundtrack to a movie that ended up winning him a Grammy. And the title song of it, The Children of Sanchez, is also one of my favorite songs he did. And I've actually never seen the movie. The movie came out in 1978, and I'd never seen it, but his song, Children of Sanchez, is another one of those brilliant songs. But it's funny. That song, don't start with that song. I'll tell you right now. It starts off slow, and then it builds to this absolutely amazing song. It's like a 15-minute song, and that absolutely is just a classic, brilliant jazz. That is just some amazing stuff. But I wanted to give a shout out to people. If you've never heard of him, give him a try. And it's Chuck Mangione, Mangione. You can search him on YouTube. You can find all his music there. It's again, I say worth the listen because it's absolutely one of those things that brought me a lot of joy in my life and still does to this day.
I didn't know any of that. Learned something new about you today. I mean, I remember you playing trumpet. I didn't know the backstory as far as why. That's really cool. I'm glad you shouted that out, actually. I have Apple Music, and I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to. And I'm not familiar with Chuck Mangione's work. So like you throwing that out there, actually, I will listen to that.
And if you're a watcher of King of the Hill, he was a guest character on that show, and that actually was him doing the part.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So he had fun with that. There's a lot of interviews where he's like he's laughing about it, just how much fun it was just to do some of the goofy stuff he did on the show and in the cartoon format.
So we're going to jump to Black Canary Best of the Best. And this is one of the reasons why when people are like, well, why did you go back to the DC thing? This is part of the reason why. I think we were doing really big epic stories, and what gets lost in the shuffle are some of the smaller characters where you're doing things like this, B and C list characters where you get this kind of miniseries that was like, just in reading it, I was like, I want to talk about this. We could have done it in the previous iteration of the show, but there's a time factor. And I think this is something about deep diving a universes. It gives you more time to be able to, yes, hit the big characters, but be able to do stuff like this. So Black Canary Best of the Best. Tom King is the writer, Ryan Sook, artist, Dave Stewart on colors, Clayton Cowles on letters, Ryan Sook is the cover artist, David Nakayama, Otto Schmidt, Chrissy Zillow, Dan Hipp, variant cover artists, Julian Grant, assistant editor, Ben Abernathy and Brittany Holzer are the editors. Paul Kaminsky is the group editor. And just looking at the cover of this one, this was something, when it came out, I gravitated to it instantly. And then I was like, oh, I think I want to eventually talk about this. And it was so funny when we started talking. You mentioned that you had started reading it. I'm like, I've never finished. By the way, I want to be very clear, transparent. I deliberately didn't finish it because I wanted to talk about it. So I've always gotten halfway through it. So what we're talking about today with issues 1 through 3, that is all I've read of this. I love it. I've read it 3 times now, and I have not read the end. I don't know where it goes, and which is very hard for me because there's such a JSA classic DC. This is right up my. If you're asking me like, what is the stuff you geek out about? It's this kind of stuff because it goes so much into the lore of not only just Black Canary, but Black Canary's mom, and then it brings in Wildcat. It brings in all of the feels that I want, and as a Batman geek, one of the best parts of Batman's rise back up when he got his back broken was his battle with Lady Shiva. That put her on the map for me. She was around before that, yes, but that put her on the map for me as being, man, she is wicked cool. The way that whole Night's End sequence went and everything. I love Night's End. So the way that whole sequence went was like really, really cool for me. So this story just hits all the right feels, and I'm glad we're having a chance to talk about this and the way that this plays out. What about you? What was your experience? When did you start reading this? Was this right out of the gate, or was it something that flew under your radar, or what was it?
I completely missed it. Mm-hmm. I 100% missed it. It wasn't until we were doing the Rise of the Superwoman story, and I was getting ready for that, and I saw the advertisements for this. I'm like, what the heck is that? I 100% completely missed it, and I was like, oh my God, and then I saw Tom King and Black Canary. I'm like, how did I miss this? And I was like, this is absolutely brilliant. And unlike you, I didn't stop. I know how this ends, so I will not spoil it. But yes, oh my God, this is a Tom King story that is absolutely brilliant. Again, one of the reasons he's on that list now of me with Jeff Johns and Gail Simone and Tom King. Those are like 3 names that are at that pinnacle where if I see something written by them, I immediately jump to it. So I'm kicking myself for not having seen this before, for completely missing it. But again, this is one of the reasons I'm very happy that we're shifting back to just a pure DC focus, because I'm going to see more of this stuff. And it's funny, I've been getting caught up on my DC reading now. I'm almost all caught up with the Trinity now, all 3 of them, and I'm now starting the other titles that I've completely let lapse, and I'm focusing really just on reading DC. Marvel's been put on the back burner for
I'm doing the same thing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing solely on DC. I'm trying to get caught up on stuff. And so I'll tell you right now, this is an absolutely brilliant story. I loved it. 100% spoilers for everybody. I'm going to be gushing periodically throughout this just because it was absolutely unbelievable. And again, I threw it out once, I'm going to throw it out again. This to me is a classic Tom King story where it has those multiple layered levels of you've got enough spoilers on how it's going to end, but you're never 100% certain what the exact path to that ending is going to be. It's kind of like the reason I love Death of Superman story so much. It's called Death of Superman. They advertised Superman was going to die. They flat out told you right from issue 1 of the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then when it still happened, it still hit you right in the gut and still was a heart wrencher. Even though you knew it was coming. And same thing with Black Canary, Best of the Best. Right from the beginning, they're kind of laying out how this may end. Is it going to end that way? You don't know. And I love how those little teasers, but also the journey, because I know Black Canary, but I don't really know her that well. Like, I really don't know much about her mom or any of your early JSA. I'm not. So her time there, her mom's time there, all that kind of stories, I don't know as much about her. So for me, this was really cool to see just her backlog, her backstory, her and Ollie backstory. There's a lot of neat stuff going on. And you mentioned again, Lady Shiva is a really cool character. So she's good to have in the villain role. And I did air quotes around that because she's a bad guy. Yeah, she's an assassin. And in this, if you got a heel and a face in this match, well, Canary's the face and Shiva's the heel, and she plays it up perfectly. So it's one of those kind of, I love how they did the dynamic on this thing.
See, it's interesting with Black Canary because growing up, I was a fan of the character. I was a fan of Green Arrow and Black Canary. Those characters were resonated with me. I got really into the Earth 1, Earth 2 stuff when they started doing heavy, those crossovers, and getting to know the idea that there was a JSA and there were characters on the JSA. And her character's story has been an interesting one because over the years, they've messed around with there being an Earth 1 and an Earth 2. Then there was one Earth. The stories merged together. Then they split up again. Then their JSA was here and the JLA was here. So it's led to an interesting evolution of what that backstory is, which it's something with DC continuity trying to keep in track of what is continuity now and what is not. It's where I love stories like this, where it goes and kind of lays it out for you. Like, this is the origin of Black Canary. This is some of her history. And it validates certain stories and brings them in, which is, I always am a big fan of this. You mentioned Tom King and the quality of the writing of Tom King. One of the things I really like about him is when he partners up with these terrific art teams that are thematically set to, he's done some really incredible artsy miniseries, and this fits into that category, but this is rugged. There's Ryan Sook and Dave Stewart together really developed a strong art style. The look right from the cover, when you take a look at Black Canary, the muscle tone, you see the little bit of the blood on the wrapped hands. It looks like she's in the middle of a fist fight, and a brutal one at that. There's a tone that's set from this, very different than some of his other minis that he's done, but it seems to be this just really good partnership of finding these art teams that understand the story that's going to be told, and you do something special. This is special.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go from beautiful to badass in a heartbeat. And I think that for me is one of the things I love about the way this story plays out. There's moments when you truly see how beautiful she is, but then there's moments you see just what a wicked badass she is. Yeah. It's like in professional wrestling, I always say Marina Shafir over in AEW has that quality. She can go from really hot to oh crud, I don't want to mess with her, wicked badass. Yeah. And I think they capture that really well in this, in both Shiva and Canary. But especially, there's some great Canary scenes when you still capture the beauty of her, but you see just how dangerous she is.
She'd actually be a great Black Canary.
Who?
Marina Shafir.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, you were just talking about her. I'm as you were throwing her out there, it's not something I would have consciously thought of, but sometimes they go to wrestlers because of just the nature of the work that they do, and I actually think from a physical standpoint, she is able to do what you said, and I think it'd be an interesting to find, if not her, to find somebody like her who has that unique duality. Yeah. I think that really works because you look at this cover, it's just everything. You're like, who's Black Canary? That cover. It's kind of right there. I did like the ad for this because it's funny. You flip the page and it actually has the ad right there on the page. And that cover, seeing her and Shiva face off, is really, really cool. At the time we're talking about I think when this was coming out, wasn't the Tyson fight like a thing?
I think so.
Yeah. Because the fight starts in November is when it was. So this had to have been right around the time of.
It was probably around when he and Logan Paul or Jake Paul or one of the Pauls that he fought. I don't remember. Yeah, it was Jake Paul. And it was, I was very into fights at that time, like seeing that type of thing. And this came out. It was one of the reasons why I jumped on it. And I do this. It's one of the dangers when you do a podcast is you start thinking through, I eventually want to do this. So then I start reading it like I eventually want to do this. So that's why, like I said, I did the pause at issue 3 of this one, figuring I knew that was going to be part 1. And with it being a 6-issue mini, it lends itself really nicely. I love the opening page where you just see the microphone. Yeah.
And you get the announcer, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the strengths of this thing has been this switching between time frames of her in the fight and her training. And I love that the dialogue sometimes from both bleeds over into the other. So that way you're never really taken out of either time frame. Now, this is something that you traditionally haven't liked. I thought it was brilliant in this one. I wanted to ask you about it just because you sometimes like more of the clean continuity of that piece. How did you like this? Because I thought this was brilliantly done.
I think you just said it right there. Brilliantly done.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, with me and the jumping back and forth, if it's not laid out correctly, if it's not timed correctly, if it's just suddenly like, let's just throw a time jump for the sake of a time jump.
Jarring.
Those are the ones that get me. Yeah, jarring. Those are the ones that get me. Like this is part of the story. This is brilliant storytelling. So when you get a nice groove and a nice flow where it makes sense when they're going back and forth, past and present, it's something that I really like. And even, again, the art team, you look at the colorists especially, did a little bit different with the present coloring versus the past coloring. Not a lot. It's not like a jarring thing, but if you look at when we're seeing initially where Dinah is going through the airport and this and that, and then you flip the page when they show Lady Shiva present day, bam, there's that. It's a little bit brighter on the color. Not a lot, but just a little bit of a pop. So you can tell past and present differences. It's kind of like that. I don't know what the technical term is. To me, it's like they washed the colors a little bit on the past stuff, so they still keep it rich and solid, but it doesn't have that shine to it, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Okay.
This is going to sound crazy. I appreciate when artists do fine details, and especially because I go through and reread the issues like you do. There's textures on her doggone knit hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that because they're on time crunches for these things when they're putting. I don't know what it looks like for a miniseries as far as if you do have extra lead time or not. I'm assuming not much, just because of the fact that you've got to put these things together and have them out at a certain point in order, because you want to be able to financially, I'm sure, move on to other projects and things. So you got a certain deadline for this. I love little details like that because they add this sense of reality. And when she's getting on the plane, I just got done I went to Iceland and then New Orleans, and I went down to Cincinnati afterwards, which is in the state, but it's still been travel. And there was something I appreciated about it gave a timological thing as far as like she is doing this traveling. This was smart because this is where the dialogue kept the story moving. Because while she's traveling, they're introducing the fight and all of the pieces that you don't really need to see of the fight right now. You just need to establish, like, we're stepping back in time and showing her flying to a destination where she's going to fight. And here's what you don't know at this point, practice, I should say, get ready for the fight. You don't know that because we're just seeing her initially fly somewhere and we don't know what she's doing yet. And I loved the fact that we were keeping these two stories going while establishing a lot of lore here. We see her drive and we get to see that in order to get to mom, which we didn't know that's where she was going initially, this is quite the journey. Like it's multiple modes of travel. It's plane to car to ferry boat to rental car. There is, to even get to this flowers and gift shop, there is a long journey that's going on to make this quest in order for her to do, because she's in a remote location. It's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And I just loved the journey. We got taken on a journey while at the same time they were keeping the introduction to the fight going. They had two parallel introductions going really strong at the same time. That is hard to do without losing your readers. And I felt like this was just done so brilliantly. I love setting the stage of where, like, her mom lives.
Yeah.
I felt like that journey, we got to go on a little trip with her. And that was beautiful. Beautiful artwork for that.
Oh, and let me add to your comment, echoing 100% yes to everything you said. But also the other thing I loved was the reflection of the car in the Drake's flower shop.
I love that
when she pulled
stuff
up there. And I love her license plate, 75 years.
Yeah.
You know, that I thought, oh, that is neat. That is cool. Just a little digging, a little just nod into how long Black Canary's been around, 75 years. Like, oh, that is cool. That is nice. I like that. But again, just everything you were saying about the artwork and just showing how long it took for her to get there. That was absolutely brilliant. And then as I said before, you flip the page and we see this is all part of the introduction of Lady Shiva, adding to that the background of the people in the audience. Mm-hmm. So not only were they not lazy in their drawing of this town that to go see her mother, we're also in the actual arena itself, because you're initially obviously drawn to Lady Shiva, how she's drawn, how she looks absolutely wickedly awesome. Then you start looking at the audience. You see the people with the cameras. You see the people with holding up their cell phones. You see just the general crowd. They gave us a nice diversity of people just surrounding who would be at the fight. So I loved seeing that. That was something I thought was always brilliant on the art team on this one.
Respect and reputation is something that Shiva has strived for. She's threatening, she's dangerous, there's so much to the mythos of who Lady Shiva is, and it's part of her operation. She needs that. That's really important. She's earned every bit of that, worked her butt off to be who she is, and she is an enigma. I love that the decorative corner with the palace and Emperor's Palace and that whole thing there. I love that just kind of thing, because it just shows that she is a combatant and has been through her career involved in a lot of fights. Some sanctioned, some not.
And I love the fact that they threw out there when Batman fell and he required a mentor, someone he knew was better than him, who could show him the path to perfection. Batman turned to the assassin's assassin, the undefeated, the reigning champion, Sandra Hussein, better known as Lady Shiva. Mm-hmm. That for me is an awesome intro. And again, I can hear the ring announcer calling it out for a big fight. That's something, I kept hearing this stuff in my head. You hear the booming voice, you can feel the crowd energy. It's absolutely brilliant.
I'm as everyone knows, I'm a huge Batman geek. If you were to ask me my short list of greatest, it's hard for me I wouldn't be able to put them in a certain order right now. But one that would definitely make the list is that training sequence with Shiva, where she was putting him through the ringer so that way he could get back up to speed quickly and to try and take back his city. He was going to retire and needed to be put back to speed because he recognized where he left Gotham was not in a great place. And her being the gauntlet and her putting him through a gauntlet was one of the coolest sequences in the world. I'm not going to say too much more about it because we're not going to go into it in this episode, other than the fact that I appreciate the fact that that was put into this story because I think it's a pivotal Lady Shiva story, and it needs to be on here as a landmark. This is one where you don't need the editor's note. You just need to seek out that story. It's right there. They're talking about it. If you haven't read it, and you like this, do yourself a favor. This will make you love this even more.
Yes, agreed completely.
The flower shop and the whole setting. I am, as I mentioned, a DC lore geek. I'm not going to pretend that I have encyclopedic knowledge and throw that stuff out. There's so many great people out there that have that and are able to do it. I geek out when these things are brought back into lore and they lean heavily into them. The idea of the two Black Canaries and there being a long, rich Black Canary history and us getting to see some of that unfold in seeing her mother's flower shop. The introduction of Black Canary herself in her costume. First of all, I absolutely adore that Birds of Prey costume. That one goes back to the Gail Simone run. We got to see that particular look. That is a Black Canary look that I just really, really dig. The thing that's really good about Ryan Sook's artwork is the ability to draw muscular women, where it's the tone, the definition. It's clearly she's put the work in for this. And you see either of these two women coming at you, run. I mean, and I think that's really important. You actually mentioned, I thought I wasn't thinking Marina Shafir, but I think she's a great example of one of the wrestlers who has that kind of, that tone, that definition, that strength. She's put in the work and she's going for that type of look. And it works really, really well. And I think I like that she's got a hard edge about her. Still pretty, but a hard edge. You actually see and the look on her face, the way that she's carrying herself, everything just says this is a big deal. And I love the red and the blue thematic corners, just kind of giving you this sense of she's in the blue corner, she's being introduced to everything about this. I just love.
God, yeah. And again, they did a brilliant, I loved how they're showing, again, we talked about it before, but I'm going to echo again, the backstory of her showing her going to see her mother, which we find out will be for her to train for this fight. They're using the introduction of the combatants as the backdrop for this. And I loved how they did that, especially again with her as well, because you've got that really cool stuff where they're showing her into going in, and then the power of the page flip. You flip the page and then a hero's hero, the righteous heir, the challenger, Dino Lance, better known as Black Canary. And you can hear just the crowd popping. And again, the colorist on this, the full art team, we've been cheering it, and I'm going to keep gushing about it because they gave her that same kind of like pop that Shiva had. You got to know when to make your colors pop and when to trim them down a little bit. This, again, is one of those brilliant writing and art team working together to tell us an amazing story. And this is truly an amazing story. I'm loving this story. It gets you wanting to read more Black Canary. It gets you wanting to read more of the character. It gets me wanting to pick up reread that Batman story that we've talked a couple times about. I'm probably going to, after we're done, I'm going to find it and read it because.
Did we ever do Night's End?
Oh, no, I don't think we did.
Did we do Nightfall?
What?
Did we do Nightfall?
I think we talked about doing it for a special for like one of the big numbers, and we never did.
Oh, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Like I'll look through our list.
90% certain we didn't talk about it.
Because I know I reread all of it. Because if we did it, I'd like to do like Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End. I'd like to do all of it.
That's the thing. We talked about doing a marathon of all three. I remember we talked about it, but I don't think we ever did it.
If we haven't done it, I want to do it because I don't know how you do it without doing Asbats.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to discuss it just because of the fact that we're talking about Night's End. That's where Night's End is where you would find the Shiva stuff that we're referencing. So if you've never read Night's End, I would read Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End. I would read the whole thing because you understand Batman's motivation in it to get there. But they're worthwhile reads and they're collected now. in 3 volumes. There's 3 volumes. You can get Nightfall. They keep republishing them. So if you don't have them, they're available in omnibuses that are well worth it. They're beautiful volumes. We're spoiling the first 3 issues. So is it okay? Let's start talking about what's going on with Mom. Just because I feel like when you're doing a reread, knowing what's going on with Mom impacts this sequence where the two of them, the Ding Ding, and the two of them are meeting, and she references Mom's hair.
Yeah.
And that's a wig. And which is wigs and Black Canary are a thing. I mean, that's always been a thing. But she's got a wig because she's sick. She's dying. And it's not a known quantity. Well, known-ish quantity.
Known-ish. Certain people know.
Yeah, including Canary. I mean, she's there and she's training with Mom. But part of this whole training and everything that she's doing is a whole deal with Vandal Savage, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But it's because Mom's sick. Yeah. I loved that when you go back and look, she's doing what you would do. My mother went through a decade of a cancer battle, and she had eventually hit a point where she had to do the wig thing and stuff like that. And my mom always was very meticulous about wanting to have a certain look and take care of herself and things like that. She dressed nice, and that stuff was important to her. I love that they've shown Mom as somebody who's trying to live life in the midst of what she's dealing with. She's still working at the flower shop. She's still presenting herself in a really strong way. She's still interacting with the town. She's trying to live a normal life in spite of all this. And I love that these little nuggets are released along the way. And if you go back and reread, you can actually see the hints were there right from the beginning with this particular sequence. So good how they laid out this series in a way where they're telling you ahead of time little bits that are going to be important later, setting an emotional tone. The relationship between these two, I thought this is, when you look at the cover, you're like thinking this is all going to be about the combat and the fight and all that kind of stuff. This is a deep-rooted story of family and legacy and a mother and daughter who've had a very unique relationship. I think the relationship between parents and their kids, it's different between both parents. If you're lucky enough to have relationships with both of your parents. I know my relationship with my father and my mother were both very different. I would actually make a strong argument, not in the combat sense. This is a lot more like my relationship with my father and me, where we had kind of like this distance between the two of us. And there were as in the later years, we connected in a very deep way. And similarly, he went through both of my parents went through cancer battles. So this story just really I connected with in the sense that I think it's something where you can relate to a realistic journey. It makes me wonder what Tom King tapped into to nail this, because he really nailed, doesn't matter, even if it's not a cancer battle or something like that, the loss of a loved one, especially when you see that happening gradually, is something I think we all can connect with. And I thought he just really nailed the emotional resonance in this piece. These people felt real, and it was such a personal story. And I love when they do this with superheroes. I love this kind of stuff.
Dude, I'll tell you, both you and I have soft spots for these kind of stories. Just because what we went through. And this sequence, again, you hit the nail on the head with when Canary, when she first says, but you're wearing blonde now. I thought that was for brawling, because the mom always wore the blonde wig when she was Black Canary. She has naturally dark hair. So she had the blonde wig. So that was she only put the blonde wig on when she was going out for a fight. And I love the mom's reaction. I'm not all the way done yet, am I? And I love just that little bit saying, hey, I'm not done yet. I got some more fight left in me. And that for me is always, when people are dealing with this, when people have, whether it's cancer, heart, whatever disease that's just ripping you apart, and you can see they're fighting and they ain't laying down, they ain't dying, they ain't they're not like saying I'm done, it's over. I love seeing that. And again, it does tug at the heartstrings on me, and I always get a little bit emotional on this. So this was one of those things where when I was reading it first time through, I'm like, that line right there, I'm like, oh no, Mom's sick, isn't she? Oh no. And I remember vividly the first time reading it, that one those two panels, I knew right away she was sick. just from that, just because of. Well, I'm just like, yeah, I didn't know what she had. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew something was wrong with Mom.
It's real interesting that in this day and age, we're used to these shorter streaming shows that are out there, sometimes 8 to 12 episodes. One of the disadvantages they have, and I love them, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking them, over like a 22, 23 episode, 22-ish episode show, like the traditional one, is character development. Being able to do long-form character development. When they're at the fishnet, it's something that comics really do well. This is a 6-issue miniseries. It can be a streaming series and what it does. What I love about this particular story is these moments. The fishnet, of course, was a geek out name, especially the wink and the nod of the both Black Canary in that scenario. But this idea of this town, like everybody knows they're both Black Canary. But it's
no secret identity. It's awesome.
Yeah, especially I'm sure back in the day, Mom did hide it, but over time, things have happened and it's out there. I love that the little girl walking up to them at the restaurant looking for the autograph and Dinah doing what you normally would do. It's kind of like, but this is my mom. Ken Nabby, who is a good friend of the show, his dad is Tom Nabby, who is the first Tom Sawyer over at Tom Sawyer's Island at Disneyland, and had a very rich career, kind of working his way up the ranks and everything that he's done with that company. But where's a reference is when we've been out with him, there's been times where he will reference his father, and you hear that kind of feel, like very much what was going on here, where there's some reference to Dad's history and things like that that's going through, and you get the same thing here. And I was geeking out as I was listening to that. I didn't expect to make that connection, but it was something as I was reading the story. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool because it's a very real world thing to do when you have a respect for the history of what your parent has done. And I think that's a very real, well written sequence right there. Beautiful artwork. The kid really engaging too. Yeah, there's something. Ryan Sook has over the years. It's not a name that we've mentioned a whole lot. His artwork is just stunning.
Oh God!
I mean, the kid. I mean, it's a captivating. The eyes and everything. I mean, I love when you capture people in a way where the artwork is like, I don't want to say photorealistic, but it is clear that you're capturing an image of a person and somebody with very unique qualities about them. This was just a very captivating sequence. I love comic art, especially when you get that person where like, this is different than things I've been reading lately.
Well, again, sometimes you get like just a general face or a general character, or general just look. This to me looks like this was somebody specific in his life. And you capture that emotion, just that look. And now, if this isn't based on somebody and he just pulled this out of his own creativity, oh my God, that's brilliant. If this is capturing somebody, again, brilliant. So he's somebody that we haven't talked a lot about, but I'm like, it's funny. I'm like, why haven't we? I've got a list of artists out there that if I see their name on a book, I pick it up just because of them. His name is now getting added to that list because of sequences like this, and because of later in the actual combat sequences. Again, showing the human side when you're doing just sitting around at the table, showing the excitement in the combat, showing the training sequences that we're going to get to in a couple issues. He's capturing some brilliant emotional spectrum here. And again, I always talk about the grace and beauty and horror of combat. If you can capture all three things on a flat page and make me actually see the motion, you're doing something brilliant. And we're going to get that in this book when they do show the combat sequences.
It's funny, in role-playing games, they have the NPCs, right? The non-player characters that are kind of be in the background. I think the crowd, and behind Shiva and behind Black Canary, they have incredible details to them, but they are all like the same color sheen, because of the fact that you really need to be focused on the foreground and our main characters. In this particular case, this could have been written as just a non-player character. It's not. And drawn as a non-player character. It's not. That girl's important. You need some form of emotional attachment to her. That needs to be a moment. And if you don't give her those qualities, it's not a moment because she's not memorable. She was memorable.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And I love the fact that she tells, Canary that my dads are going to let me watch, and she's like, honey, you should tell your parents not to let you watch. Why? because you're just too little to see that much blood.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, that's a statement, and I love the fact that this is a fight to win. Your putter must quit.
Right.
This isn't a knockout. This isn't a score points. No, this is you must make your enemy quit. And I love that the fact that that's where they're going with this. And I also even love the fact that Shiva's no weapons, Canary's no powers. This is just physical hand to hand. And I was like, that again, absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
And if she uses powers, that's tapping out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very clear over this that breaking those rules means that you're tapping out.
Yep.
So very, very interesting as far as how this plays. We know as the readers at a certain point in time, and we might as well just go to this piece, Canary has to aim for 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And that's a really important piece off of this. She knows what it's different when you're fighting specifically to win. You might look for that opportunity to, in round 1 or round 2, take advantage of something to try and end this quickly if you can. In the case of a 6-round fight, whether you're aiming to win or lose, you still are you have to pace yourself in a battle with somebody who is known for their brutality. And she's being clear when she's telling the girl, listen, Dad, you might tell Dad you shouldn't be watching this, because she knows what she's in for. This has got to go 6. So that's going to be brutal, no matter what you're going to do off of that. And boy, is she right.
And here's the thing, 6-minute rounds are what they're fighting, which are actually a little bit longer than some of because I want to say traditional MMA is 5 minutes. And I think boxing is even less. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But a 6-minute fight, 6-minute round is really tough. Because it's, probably thinking, oh, just 6 minutes. Oh, no, that's 6 minutes of constantly swinging, punching. That is exhausting.
Especially when you're, and also when you're being pummeled.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that break is what you need in order to be able to catch your breath, to regroup, think through a different strategy. If you're being pummeled, a lot of times you're thinking of escape. You're not always able to think about regrouping and kind of gaining the advantage. So I love that 6 minutes can be a very, very long period of time. A minute in and of itself, if you've ever had to, for any reason, wait for a minute for something, 60 seconds is a lot longer than we realize when you're waiting. And when you're getting pummeled, 60 seconds is a long period of time. You could throw a lot of punches in 60 seconds.
Especially if you're up against someone like Shiva.
Yes.
Again, adding to just if you're just fighting a normal person, 6-minute rounds is a tough match. Right? But when you're up against someone who's as deadly as Shiva is, that adds to just the level of it. I love we're almost about halfway through the first issue. We still haven't really seen a punch thrown.
No.
But they're building the anticipation for the fight. They're really doing a brilliant job to get us excited and pumped up. It's like we're sitting in the crowd watching this fight.
Yes.
And I think that for me is, again, on a flat piece of paper, they've captured that energy.
Yeah.
That is something I absolutely love about this series. And then I love our commentary. Mike Berg and wordy Johnny Sunter, 100% completely, again, fits what I would expect to be calling this fight.
Yeah.
They did a brilliant job with bringing out who's going to be the commentary. And throughout this, the comments these guys are laying out, I think that, again, was also something brilliant in how you would see in a lot of traditional fights. As you talked earlier about the Tyson Paul fight, how the commentators were really going into it. Back to the very famous Tyson fight that lasted seconds. You think back to how the commentators were like, oh, crud, what do we got to do now? Because the fight's over. Well, let's run it again. The intro was longer than the fight, but the commentators kept that going and they kept the energy up. These are two guys who are doing the exact same thing, because I love the fact that they, in their back of their mind, and they do later verbalize this, they don't think Canary's going to last the first round. So they've got to give the entertainment up front.
Yes.
Before the first punch is thrown, they've got to throw it out there. They've got to make sure everybody who paid $100+ for this pay-per-view are walking away going, oh, that was cheap. What the heck? That was a ripoff. No, they're giving the entertainment up front because they don't think Canary can make it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they're laying out all this stuff. They're laying out this anticipation, building it up because they don't think it's going to last. So that for me was another brilliant writing tactic.
Yes, I love everything about that. I think it's got to be such a tough thing to do what they do. I'm a big fan of commentators. You and I are both wrestling fans, but I also watch UFC. I watch boxing. I don't catch everything of UFC and boxing, but I enjoy MMA fights. I enjoy boxing matches and things like that. I actually watched, is it Bellator? But know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Bellator was right.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of fights on that too, and really enjoy it. It's a time factor thing as far as not being able to watch as much as I like.
One of the things I loved about, again, with the MMA, because like you, I watch a couple fights. I'm not a regular. Right. I've seen a couple of fights, and I'll see sometimes when it's on, I'll stick around and watch. The commentators on that really they know there are people like you and me who don't know MMA.
Yes.
So as they're talking about the action, they're explaining what's going on and what's happening for the people who don't know. And it's funny because I've learned more about MMA watching the fights and hearing the commentator than I ever have trying to do any side research. And again, these two guys, how this is written is done so well in that it's capturing that same kind of energy because they know there's going to be people who don't know who she is. There are going to be people who don't know who Canary is or who they're just catching the fire of the energy of this show. So they're going to be throwing out everything. And I love the broadcast, how they reference that this is a galactic broadcast.
Yes.
This is going out to the universe. And they show the aliens and they show the alien translation and all that. I thought that for me was something brilliant that they add into it because Canary is a member of the Justice League. She is known throughout the universe. I think that is awesome.
I'm a big fan of Rocky movies, and including the Creed series, the sequel series. It's been very, very good. I love when they're done at their best. You get this kind of stuff, and what I'm referencing is it'd be a dream at some point in time to get this as a film. This would work as a movie. It really, really would. If we get to that point where I hope. It's one of the areas where you've heard me on the show multiple times get irritated over the superhero fatigue stuff. And the reason why I get irritated about that is I love the experimental nature of the fact that they've taken some of the lesser known characters and given them films. Have they always worked? No, some of them have been good, where it's been kind of like, which the problem with a good superhero movie a lot of times is it's not for everybody. You're going to have your audience to be like, I'm just not interested in that. And that's okay. But that leads to that perception of fatigue. I hope we hit a point where the superhero genre again in films and just film in general. I love lots of film. I love diverse choices, very similar to my comics. I like film that way too. There is so much of this. This would make a great movie.
Yeah.
You imagine the movie, if they get the right music behind it and it has that Rocky sort of theme, the montages, the build of this pacing, being able to, this deep rooted story of her doing this for mom. And, because the question keeps coming up, why is she doing this?
Yeah.
We as the readers start to know at one point in time why she's doing this and what it means. And that gets more and more fleshed out with each issue. But the idea of feeling that in a theater experience, I would love to see this live action. It's one of the areas when you mentioned Marina Shafir. There's people out there that already have that kind of look and embody that. You get a really good actress to play Shiva. This could be badass as a movie.
Well,
I would love to see this.
And we both would jump at this one. And
yes,
and again, we've got a great layout on the script here. This story that they're telling would look brilliant on the screen.
Yes.
And again, I loved how we have, and again, you keep throwing out Rocky references, and I completely agree with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Creed stuff as well. But I'll tell you, when we get to the sequence when you actually see the ring and you see that she's there for training and you get that full story part, that 100% had the Rocky IV feel to me.
Oh, yeah.
He's over in Russia training and you got Drago on the super equipment and all that science, but Rocky's sitting there in a barn barn in the middle of Siberia with all just the hanging from the barn, doing the sits and doing all those kind of just that hands-on grunt work. But I 100% had that feeling to it. And as soon as you see that ring, even you're like, oh, this is going to be some cool stuff. And again, really laid out. But here's the thing. Right at this page, I knew we were going to get some cool training montage. I had no idea the level they were going to go. And I so love this training montage that's coming up. And for the next 6 issues, when they were showing her how she's training, how she got ready for this fight, I'm like, oh my God, this is probably one of my favorite top 5 training montages I've ever read in a comic. I absolutely love this.
I like that she really has to convince Mom at first to be a part of this, to bring her in, to start training her. There's a reason why that has to happen, and I get why she needs it to be Mom and what she's doing there. I mean, she's got Wildcat, who she could be pulling in. When you think about, and I mean, we do have other DC heroes that make appearances in this as part of the training, but I really love that the central focus has to be Mom. And there's such a longevity and a history with Mom, and we get to know it through this. It's you go back to why does it have to be Mom when you're first reading it, to who else could it be? And that's really a victory of this as well. I absolutely loved how hard edge Mom is when she gets there. She's like, listen, I'm not giving you a break anywhere on any of this. This training is rough and brutal. And I really liked seeing the training. This is where it does feel like she feels like the underdog, but she feels like she wants it. And I love that kind of feel to it, especially when you start to understand her motivations. You're like, well, yes, she does. This is a life or death type of thing. So you really get the motivation behind it and that feel that needs to be there. Mom's badass. There's no two ways about it. And I adore that part of all of this.
She's still, she's still got some fight left in her. And again, just the layout of Mom training her versus Ted. I like how Mom's like, oh, Ted, Ted, this is better for Ted to train. She's like, oh no, I need you.
Yeah.
I need you. And she knows exactly the hard edge level that her mom is going to push her.
Yes.
And we see in a lot of the backstory, and when they start fleshing out the backstory, what she's always trained, how she's always trained her. She's always had that edge to her. She's always pushed to a borderline unhealthy, borderline child endangerment levels. And I love that Canary recognizes she needs that level of training to go up against Shiva. She needs that pushing, but it's also her and her mom. She needs her mom in her corner. And I love seeing that. I love just the notion of the fact that Mom's training her. And again, throughout these sequences, when you're seeing them talking, as they're talking, there's still the announcers going on at the fight. I love, again, that overlay on how they're breaking it down, that there's no chance. Canary's not making it out of the first round.
Right.
Both of them 100% think this is going to be a first round tap out by Canary. Canary's going to give up after the first round. And I love that they're laying this down as Canary is convincing her mom to train her. I love that. Again, brilliant usage of how the story in the present and the past are merging together. It's absolutely wonderful.
The interesting part is when Canary looks up at her, she's been thrown on the ground. She looks up to her mom and she's like, can I win? You're my daughter. You have to.
Yeah.
I love the emphasis where the bold is. I mean, it was such a really good choice there. And it was legit. I mean, she's asking the question from a legit standpoint. Mom's answer, that wasn't sugar-coated.
No.
Mom is not training her to lose. Mom is not training her to survive. Mom is training her to win. And that's an interesting, and from this point on, when you see the training, this is like really meant to be Mom's like, all right, if we're doing this, we're doing this. I love that that's a pivotal moment in all of this. It was just so good.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, brilliant blend of everything going on. You have that final moment when the mom agrees to, they get that nice hug, and then ding, bang, you flip the page and the fight starts.
Yes.
Brilliant way to transition from the one into the other. And immediately Shiva is on top of her.
Yes.
This, again, I loved this artwork on this fight sequence, showing motion, all the fight sequence throughout this. I love how they really show just how fierce, how amazing, how powerful, fast Shiva's strikes are. And again, color commentary on this is absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that we're not getting the inner dialogue of Shiva or Canary. We're getting the announcers making comments. We're getting, and even I love the fact they threw out the comment about how somewhere I bet the Flash is envious of the speed of Shiva. And later we get her fastest is 165,934 times slower than my fastest. Why would I be jealous of that? I love the fact that they had that little bit of humor tied into it, but it never took away from any of that.
The action sequences in this are absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those pieces. Yeah, it's a comic book and you expect great action sequences. They need to be in this one. They're rough. They're rugged, they're brutal, and it's something that you need to see because you need to feel as a reader, how is she going to get up from that? And I love those sequences. The best is when Ollie's looking at it going, basically, you think I know this? It's like because they're asking the why question. I love all the people that are sitting in the room. You see Martian Manhunter, you get to see Vixen, you get to see Elongated Man. It's on and on and on. I love the Adams sitting there in tiny format, the Batman shirt on, or is it a Black Canary? Is it a Black Canary shirt?
Canary shirt, yeah.
Oh, it's a Black Canary shirt. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm zooming.
Batman too, and then I saw Barry wearing the same shirt.
Yes,
I was like, oh, that's Canary shirt. Nice.
Yep. No, you're right. It's the same one Barry's watching over there. It's great.
I do like seeing Superman heating up hot dogs with the heat vision.
So awesome.
Oh God, yeah.
So this is when Barry still had powers.
Yeah.
So the whole sequence where we know now that Dinah knows that Mom got something going on.
Yeah.
Because she's sitting there saying, what are you doing? What did I say? Let me get this. You should be resting. Mom's irritable at a certain point in time. And especially with the Ollie questions. That's got to be a tough subject. They've had that subject before. Ollie's a guy that Mom's probably had the conversation before. Why are you with this guy when he's hurt you so much? And it's such an interesting relationship between her and Ollie. We all know as readers that she's very good for Ollie, but at times Ollie has not been good for her at all. And I love that we've seen the duality of that. As a couple, you can understand it, what brings them back together between the two of them. When they're great, they're great. Yeah. When they're not, they're not. And it's been everything in between. And that's an example of, I think, very realistic writing as well. And I love seeing that in these sequences where the history of them, we can talk about what continuity is in continuity and all that kind of stuff. What's been established here is this is still that volatile couple that's been there. You root for them to be together and to get it right. And it's so sad when they don't.
And the thing I love is usually it's Ollie causing the problems.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And you want to be her friend and tell her, I get you're really good for him, but he's not good for you. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
You know, and I know has to have been a conversation that Mom and her have had.
Sure.
And I love seeing just that little tidbits here in these moments with her and Mom. And again, you got to love the fact that Mom's not just going to lay down. And she's like, I'm not just laying down. I'm not just ending it. I'm going to continue living my life. And that is something that, again, shows the hero in her. The gut check in her that she's like, I'm not just gonna be done. I'm gonna live my life. And we saw that earlier when she was going out, when she's running the flower shop, when she was doing all the stuff that she's doing. It's kind of a neat thing. Again, these are some of the cool sides of this story that I had no idea was going to happen. And I think that for me is the brilliance of it.
Dinah's trying to pull out of her mom too. She's trying to open up the doorway. What is going on with you? She's doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And this is very much a mother-daughter parent thing. It's very hard. We've been there. It's really hard to have these conversations with your parents. Relationship questions with your parents are very, very hard to have a lot of times. There's a different level of closeness. You're always looking, I think we're engineered to look for parental approval. Kind of, when you're not getting it, it rubs the wrong way. And I feel like that honesty of this conversation would go very differently if it was with somebody else.
Yeah.
But I love that this feels like a parental conversation. And with the fact that they've already got the sandpaper thing going on between the two of them, now she's trying to pull out a mom. Mom's trying to have the honest, quiet conversation about Ollie. She's not having it. She's trying to pull out, Mom, what's really going on with you? She knows what's going on here, but she's trying to let Mom open up to be that, and it's not happening. Mom's lashing out about it, and she's revealing a lot here without revealing it. And that part, do you have any idea what I've been through, young lady? Every day is a long day, and I am fine, which is something she has to tell herself likely every day through pain and things like that she's going through. She's driving herself for that. And I admire that strength that goes on, but she's also masking pain and things that are going on the inside that she knows is there. But she does not want others to view her that way. She wants others to view her the way that she wants them to view her, as just everything's good. I'm here, and I'm going to keep being here. And I love that stuff. I love that because it's so real, so three-dimensional. This is really an example of how you do these stories. Why are they going to comic books for film and miniseries and stuff like that? It is this kind of stuff. I am like, this is a script that's ready to be written and thrown out there. This is why I get mad about the superhero fatigue stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, there's been some missteps and stuff along the way and some choices. The problem is, shut your mouth so we get stuff like this on the screen. That's where I get irritated. It's like, let them do some experiments. If they go wrong, it's okay. Sometimes there's a good afternoon popcorn flick where you're kind of like, that was fine. It just didn't blow me away. I want stuff like this on the screen because this is going to blow you away. And that's what happens when you do more of these experiments. Sometimes just go have fun at a popcorn flick. And not everything has to be I'm going to watch it 60 times. Like, that was a nice popcorn flick. I'm going to go home now. We've lost sight of that. And when Mrs. Opportunity, I want this on the screen so bad, just because I think two great actresses could kill it with this.
Yes.
Kill it with this. Especially if you throw in somebody who's amazing as Shiva.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could really tell a story here that is just like really stellar on the screen and could fit that Rocky itch. I want more of those. I love those kind of films. I love the right kind of music of this. This could be thrilling, really thrilling.
Yes. And again, completely everything you're saying, I'm just nodding in my head along like an idiot because I completely agree with you. And I have nothing really more to add to it other than I love how we have this really powerful moment between mother and daughter. And then you flip the page and we get back into the action.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pacing that this kind of story really, really needs and is done very well because yes, I'm completely all on board on the story that we're telling about the mom and daughter, but if it's just the story about that, it would start to taper off. So they need to keep giving us that pump of energy in showing the fight sequence. And I love seeing this. We're in round 1 and Shiva is dominating Canary.
Yes.
To the point where she's actually playing into the crowd. And I love the commentators are like, hey, we're not even just getting that. We're getting the showman. We're seeing the showman side of Shiva as she's on the ropes, just taunting the crowd, getting them going, and it does a flying elbow. I'm like, oh, that is absolutely brilliant. And just as she hits the elbow, goes to hit the elbow, Dinah rolls out, making it look like, oh, she's going to have a comeback. Oh, no, Shiva's ready for it. I love showing how that every time that Dinah has a moment when she may actually have some offense, no, Shiva's ready for it. And she comes back and counters it immediately. I loved, again, showing just how dangerous Lady Shiva is. As good as Canary is, she is no match for Shiva. And they're clearly laying it out.
And this is where Shiva's thriving here. And why is Shiva doing this? Why is Shiva playing up to the crowd, all sub pieces? Because it's doing what Shiva needs it to do. On top of the need to win, Shiva needs the reputation. That legend of Shiva is so effective in what Shiva does. She needs this it's her building blocks and those pieces. She recognizes the benefit and the value of that intimidation. Obviously the stock and cost of getting Lady Shiva's services are going to go up in value because of this type of thing. It's how she has thrived in what she does, and that part is so cool.
It's the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes.
You know, it's the reputation of it. And throwing out a more modern term for you, Omar's coming from The Wire. Yeah. Omar from The Wire was a brilliant character who was robbing drug dealers, and he didn't have to do anything. He just walked up and they threw out money to him so he wouldn't kill all of them because it's Omar. Shiva's the same kind of way. She's got that reputation, and this right here, she needs to win. You know, she needs to show the world, yes, this is why I am the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. And again, I love these sequences. Just so much showing motion, showing the combat. And I loved how I always talk about the power of the page flip, and I've done it a couple of times, but I love this sequence as we're getting Shiva jumping across the ring, doing basically a Superman punch. You flip the page and it's back to mom and daughter. Like, oh, you guys, you got me good on that one. I was looking forward to seeing the punch. Like, oh no, I got the next one. Oh, that's awesome.
This is one, though, the commentary again is working so great because they're amazed at this point. This one's not over. This one's not over by a long shot. And they're starting to be amazed by Canary. Canary, like, how long is this going to let? You know, I don't think they're still believing that Shiva's going to win, but like Canary's actually, this is going to be a fight. And that part's always great when you get to see that. And you're there, like, to your point about their jobs earlier, their jobs becoming a little easier because the story that's unfolding, they don't need to sell a story. The story's unfolding. They can just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's got to be, as a commentator, in reality. Wow. Because we're used to, there's a difference between pro wrestling and, in some levels, commentary and UFC in a boxing match. When pro wrestling has a certain ballet to it, in what it's doing and a certain storytelling that's being done. My understanding, because I've watched documentaries on this, the commentators don't always know everything that's going to be happening. Some of that's deliberately. They don't know about certain surprises and certain events and things like that. So there's a genuine reaction. There was things that happened, for example, the Undertaker and Mick Foley's match. They didn't know certain spots that were going to happen. Certain high spots were going to happen. If the documentaries that I've watched are true, imagine like all of a sudden a body's flying from high up above a cage and you didn't know that was going to happen. That stuff is just like amazing. And that's where you get realistic commentary. In boxing, because of the fact that it is human, it's two humans going at it, and there's a storytelling there in the sense the build up to it and the ending, but the actual boxing match in and of itself, because it's so unpredictable a lot of times, these moments have got to, this keys in, I think, at all of those pieces. It keys in on whether you're a fan of wrestling or boxing, or if you're not, this is a great way to get a flavor for what is that world like. This is really well written. I feel like I'm watching it unfold like that.
It's funny. I never watched boxing as a kid at all. And I watched the Rocky movies, which made me want to watch actual boxing. And actual boxing was not as exciting as the Rocky movies. It wasn't, you know. I enjoy it. It's kind of neat to see some fights, but I've never really been a boxing fan.
Yeah.
So then MMA, professional wrestling, like we both love that and the commentary. And then when I started watching MMA, I found that the MMA commentators were more like the professional wrestling commentators and less like the boxing. The boxing is very meticulous. There's some elements that they're talking about, but it's more of a calling play by play, punch by punch, that kind of stuff. There's not much of a storytelling in a lot of the boxing, whereas MMA will have more storytelling, and 100% in wrestling will have more storytelling. And I obviously like the wrestling side of it. So
did you watch the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight?
I did not.
So I'm gonna say yes and no. It depends on the fight now, because I think there was a story being told during that for the purposes of trying to keep that piece going. I think it's everything you're saying, though. I'm not disputing you. I'm actually going to put a little asterisk over that and go, yes, you're right. And I think in certain ones where there's a big money thing going on or something like that, I think they do pump up the spectacle of backstory. And there were things going on behind the scenes that I think were meant to lead to it feeling story driven and stuff like that, that I think is just a little different now because of the spectacle. I think some of that goes back to like people like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was telling a story. I think he introduced some of that concept of spectacle and story and things like that and what he was doing when you look back at his way of interacting with the audience and interacting both in and out of the fight. I think there are some people that have naturally lent themselves to that. And I think there's fighters both in boxing and in MMA that are very good at kind of playing it up to the crowd. Conor McGregor being one of them, for an example.
Oh, yeah.
He's an event.
Yes, he is.
This sequence, so you're referencing where we go back to the bomb again, and we get to see what's going on with her when she's pulling off the wig. And this is where we get our first real reveal on what's going on. It makes sense of everything else that came before, where you're like, oh, I get that now. And I love that when that happens, it's not shocking in the sense that you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. It's like, oh, I get it now. And I love when the storytelling is so honest and rich that it leads to that point where it is kind of like the big reveal, but not at the same time. There's something really good about that. This is just incredibly well paced and written because of that.
Yes, agree completely. And again, it's now the rest of the story kind of thing. I knew the mom was sick before, but you get your confirmation here. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So it wasn't a shock, but it was still a powerful moment for me. Just getting the confirmation of what I suspected. I'm now seeing it. Now I don't know what's wrong with her. You just know something's up here. And I love how they did that. And then they showed Dinah going on her walkabout. And again, as she's doing her walk, they're continuing the commentary going on. They're continuing the fight. They're continuing talking about it. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I love how, again, they're still continuing the present story, showing the past stuff. This is a brilliant overlap of the two.
What's really interesting is I liked the pacing of getting to the End of Savage reveal.
Yeah.
It was multiple pages of the commentary you're referencing. It sets the tone for she's going out to the bar because of how everything going on with mom and how brutal the training's been. It added the other twist of, oh, geez, she's doing this for a cure.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? This pacing of this first issue, this is stunning because you could have just given me the fight and like, I would have been satisfied. Like, this is a really good comic series. You could have cut it down to maybe a 3 or 4 issue series and just done this really great fight between them. You put this story with Mom and Vandal Savage in there, you got gold here right now.
Well, and I do love the reveal of Savage because she's at the bar, she's talking to somebody and like, are you ready? I got Mom here. You know, and all that, and just that banter back and forth. You don't know who it is. And on the other half of the page, they're showing the actual fight. And Shiva is just brutalizing her. And they're just like, counter, oh my God, what a blow, Barbarous, Feral, Savage. And that's when you see Savage. I was like, oh, that is awesome.
Yes.
That is absolutely brilliant. And you get your first indication that she's got to go down in the 6. She's throwing the fight. I'm like, holy crud, Canary.
But has to make it to the 6th to
make it to the 6. Yeah.
Which
I know
that's the choice. Being able to pace that when you're in there with Shiva is crazy nuts.
Now, I don't know about you, but I immediately first thought I had in my head, and they're talking about the 6 and all that stuff. I'm like, is she actually going to do it?
Yeah.
Is she actually going to do it? Are they going to find another way? Are they going to put a scam on Savage and find another way? That was the thing I was wondering. And I think that for me was something absolutely brilliant on how this story lays it out. Because right there in the bar, she's sitting there talking to Savage saying, hey, you're paying me to take a dive at the 6. So I'm going to the 6. And she's flat out saying in the 6th round, she's going to take a dive. Right at the end of issue 1, we know the quote unquote ending of this story. But I love the fact that for the next 5 issues, I'm sitting there wondering, how does this actually end? I love how this laid it out. I love the fact that you get moments where you don't know for certain what's going to be next. It's absolutely brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover for issue 2, which I want to talk about for a minute, but I feel like an adult now that I thought the Adams shirt was a Batman shirt, because when you look at the cover, there's the behind the Black Canary best of the best, the logo's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really sharp. And I don't know why, I just was typical brain freeze. It looked like the Frank Miller Dark Knight logo.
Yeah.
With the blue and things like that. It kind of had that look to it, but that makes sense because it's cool. This opening cover right here is maybe one of my favorite, if not the favorite of this whole series. Just because I love the daughter looking in the mirror, playing dress up to look like her mother, who she looks up to. And my gosh, does the original Black Canary everything about that I love classic JSA stuff, and I'm geeking out at this cover. It's just a really sharp, well put together cover. I love the use of the mirror there. And the way that it worked, it's just a different sort of layer to it. Very sharp, great attention to detail. Just this is a cover, yes. And it's one, honestly, I've started doing now, and I mentioned this on previous episodes. I've started framing covers that I like and putting them on the wall. We always keep saying, like, I wish that was a poster. I wish that was a poster. Well, you can make it one.
All you got to do is frame it and put it on.
Yes, you really can.
It's a poster.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of started embracing that because when you think about, like, if everything was a poster, where the heck are you going to fit all of them? I'll tell you what looks really nice on the wall, comic covers.
Yeah.
And I've started doing that more and more. This is one I'm seriously thinking about framing. And then the nice part about these comic frames, if you haven't done some of these, if you get the opportunity to meet any of the creators, they pop off the wall really nicely. You can take them with you and get them signed.
This would be a good one to actually get signed and all that stuff.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
This is an example of just really, I think it highlights the interior artwork. I'm a big fan of both. Sometimes where you've got special cover artists and other times where you've got the interior artist doing the covers. I'm a fan of both. I think there's cool things because you and I are fans of variant covers and things like that where you get additional artists doing work like this. This one, because the artwork on the interior is so stunning. My gosh, this Ryan Sook artwork on the covers, the whole art team just putting this together. This is stunning. This is really, really good stuff.
Oh, God, yeah. Again, yes, completely echoing everything you're saying there. And I love the fact that, again, as we jump into the issue, we're in the break of the first round. So she made it through the first round, which everyone was surprised. Oh, my God, that was unbelievable. She made it. And I love the fact that the commentators they're going through and they're stunned. They're surprised and they're amazed by the fact that she made it. And I love showing how they're showing the recap and all that. And they're talking. And then you get into the corner. Ted's in her corner. And like, you knew he had to be there. And I thought that was brilliant where he's breaking down everything. And all Dinah says is, she called about her mom. And I'm like, oh, man. And that immediately gets you thinking, oh, no. Okay, so mom's still alive.
Here's the thing. It's why is Ted there? I mean,
why is Ted there? Not mom. Yeah. I know. I love that. I mean, Ted obviously brings the experience, things like that. And you probably want Ted in the corner anyway. But this goes back to why is mom not there? This is really, really well done with this. Also, she needs to be concentrating on the fight. Yeah.
So she's thinking about Ted's got to keep her in the zone, keep her in the fight because of who she's up against. When it goes to the opening credits of this particular issue, this sequence with mom and the cinder block and her out there, she's like sitting here, good morning, and like Dinah's like coffee. This is an example of how you do training montages. Because you mentioned the Rocky IV vibe, 1000% the Rocky IV vibe. I think it builds off of what Rocky III did when Apollo was training him there. They went to the dark, dingy kind of just really street level training. I love that she's doing the same thing right here. We're going to take you a different level. What this also does, Rocky Balboa.
Yes.
Some of the training in Rocky Balboa where he's older and his body's not going to react or be as fast and things like that as before. So now we've got to put some hurting power on. Yeah. And those type of things. I love that this has that kind of like gritty brutality without being that. It's very personalized to Dinah. The muscle tone on her, when you see her, look at her legs, the muscle tone over there, you feel the cold with what's going on there, but you also see the training, right? It's you're I'm envious. I like to try and exercise and keep myself in shape and stuff like that. I don't look like that. But that it's a different kind of training than you see. Absolute Batman. He's a beast in that, like a big hulking beast. She can't be that, should not be that. We are training to be efficient, to be lean, to be fast, to be powerful. Stick and move, be able to bob and weave. She's incredibly strong, but also fast. It's a different kind of training. And I love that she doesn't look like that. It would be wrong, and it would make no sense for her to look like that hulking beast. I am just as threatened, if not more threatened, by her with this look, because there is not a wasted piece of her. Like, everything is muscle.
Yeah. And again, it really does show she's a meta human by the canary cry, but they're showing us that she is also physically fit beyond what a normal person would be. There's a reason she's such a wicked badass, is because she puts herself through this. The holding a cinder block over your head for 10 minutes, that in itself is a tough thing. When I was in high school, I swam, and you do a lot of training where you actually tread water with just your legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to sit there and you have your hands over your head and you're just training it in. It builds up leg strength. And it does a brilliant thing. I never once held a cinder block over my head while doing that in the freezing cold water. Big difference there. And I'm like, just that little bit. And then she's like,
then 2 laps around the island.
Exactly. What the heck? But the one line that cracked me up is at the beginning, she's like, the rules been the same since you were 3. I'm like, like borderline child abuse here.
Well, and I think some of that's meant to be the case, though. You're starting to question the parenting and what's going on over there. You're like, you kind of get that, and you understand a little bit of a strain between them, because that's there as well, right?
Yeah.
She loves her mom, but there's like a friction between the two of them that is really apparent. And her mom loves her. We get that vibe, but you get the idea that it's not been easy, this relationship between the two of them. And I love that sometimes you don't need to spell things out. Yeah. Sometimes just through great storytelling, you feel it. And that's where I think there's a victory of this. How much of this relies on you feeling what's going on? And that to me is when does a story become, it's a good story to an exceptional story.
Yes.
And it's when you feel it that it's an exceptional story. And that's something that I think was really working here.
This story gives 100% solid real world emotional responses.
Yeah.
I think that's something that when you get a comic book that can do that, or any story that can, there's been so many comics, there's been so many movies and TV shows where I've got to sit there and say, this is not real. That person did not just die. This is not real. And you have to catch yourself. You get so caught up and pulled into the emotional ties that a story did. That tells me epic adventure. This 100% pulled me into the story. Again, brilliant storytelling and a great balance of these past stuff where you see her and her mother's wonderful and crazy relationship. Yes. Then let's give you some action sequence of present day. Let's go back forward. The bounce back and forth was absolutely timed perfectly.
The pacing of this, where each issue is a round, for all lack of all extensive purposes, but this issue number 2 is round 2. We are just getting started with round 2. It adds the sense of what we were talking about earlier, where these 6-minute rounds are pretty doggone long.
Yeah.
That part, you see them go into the ring and they have the face off. And Shiva's the one who turns her back and walks away. Now, we all know historically, you don't turn your back on your opponent. I mean, that's kind of 101. That's a disrespect from Shiva.
Yes. It's
an intimidation move, but it's genuine. She's like sitting in there at the moment, no matter, they've been colleagues on the field. They have worked together we've seen them. And they reference that in this, that these are two people that, friends might be a strong word, but certainly colleagues on the battlefield where they've been high-fiving as team members and all that as much as you can in their realm.
Yeah.
The disrespect here of, you shouldn't be in the ring with me at all. When she raises her hands and does that like stretch and flip.
Oh, God, yeah.
She's like, that was a move meant to end this. that was her killing blow. To the point of the wrestling, this is her finisher.
Yes.
And this was meant to take her down right at the beginning of round 2, being like, we're not going to go through any more of this. Let's end this charade. Let's be done with it. That's Shiva's messaging here. I loved that. I love the fluid ghost-like motion where you see each step of that kick. It adds a sense of motion when we're dealing with a static page. Just beautiful artwork in this one. We focus a lot of times on this show on facial expressions and things like that, just because a lot of your storytelling is told through that. This one, my gosh, does it get action down right. And when you get to see those special sequences where there is that sense, I love motion. When we talk about it with the Flash comics a lot and things like that, where you get this sense of speed. And I'll tell you, Barry, something to talk about here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. I love this blur. I love when the final crack and the kick in the head, we got a nice blood splatter even. Yes. This art team, again, really captured some brilliant action, brilliant motion, but then you flip the page to the flashback to Mom in the costume. And I loved seeing Mom in the costume.
Color work.
Amen.
The choices of tones, because of the fact that we're in the I'm assuming the attic or a room similar to that, and we're kind of hiding out in that sequence. The color tones of the shadows, the way that it's meant to sheen over her, it looks it looks noir in all the right ways, and I absolutely love. Forgive my terminology, but I love that kind of vibe. When you get to see this, when you see this in animation, this kind of styling, it looks way cool. It so works here. They're doing that Spider-Man noir with Nicolas Cage.
Cool.
I'm hoping it feels like a little bit what you're seeing here, because this is just a wicked cool sheen over the whole thing. Yeah. And I love this classic Black Canary costume. This is the one in my childhood. What did Black Canary first look like when I first started reading comics? That. And it's funny how seeing it today, those classic, when you get the right artist that has a passion for bringing these characters to life, they make that stuff look really good in contemporary, where it's the everything's old is new again. That is cool.
Yeah, and again, I love the fact that any of the yellow, so there's some yellow spots on the yellow flowers on the pillow behind her. Obviously, the wig are really popping out.
Yeah,
but also just the little commentary between mother and daughter.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you look great. You look beautiful. Hey, can I see it? He's like, oh, no, honey, it's late. And you've got your jog tomorrow. And it's Wednesday, so it's a half marathon. But you still need rest for school. And the way you've been running, especially, I'm like, oh, man. So it's not just the mom's doing a little digging to her saying, hey, yeah, your running hasn't been good enough. Now you need to work harder. And again, it does show just that edge between these two of them, even as a kid, showing the level of training that she's doing as a child, getting ready to become the next Black Canary. I loved these I love these moments because they really do show how much she loved and just revered her mom. And her mom was a little bit more hands-off-ish to her. I thought that for me was a really cool kind of showing a really neat dynamic.
Mom doesn't lie to her, but also dodges a question that is really powerful in this one. Mommy? Yes, dear. Is it safe? She never answers it.
No. Nope.
She jumps towards the task. Remember to do your exercises while I'm gone. I don't want to wake you up tomorrow and hear you wasted the whole night, even if Daddy says you don't have to. And I loved that sequence because she's, in a weird way, she's answering it without answering it.
Yeah.
Because there's no reassuring yes or things like that. She dodged the question completely. She heard it, she processed it, and she dodged it. Yeah. And that means she knows, like, no, it's not. And I think she's deliberately preparing her daughter for an unsafe world with everything that she's doing. I loved everything about that sequence. Just really, really cool. It frames up this fight in such a cool way.
And again, it also frames up the training, frames up who Canary is, frames up who her mom is. It does a really brilliant job. Just a couple page flashback, you see all this stuff. And I love how at the end of all that stuff is going on, you see the young Canary starting doing her push-ups, starting to do the exercises like her mom told her she had to do. And again, it lays out the groundwork of why and who Canary is, but also in the middle of that, you're still showing Canary's still fighting.
Yeah.
She's down. She got knocked down, but as she's laying on the ground, she ends up fighting back and gives a flip to Shiva. I love the fact that as they're showing, she's knocked down, but she's not knocked out. She's not out of the fight yet. She's still got more in her. And I thought that for me was absolutely brilliant. But then as she has her comeback, Shiva's able to fight back. Shiva is, again, they really did a brilliant job showing how dangerous and how amazing of a fighter Shiva is. You need to make sure, again, you need to show how cool and how tough she is, where Canary flips her, knocks her down, and then tumbles with the fight and kicks back.
Yeah.
I love that.
We get back to the training and we get to see those laps that we were talking about earlier. And I love that mom's pushing her, sitting there saying, I mean, remember, this is the start of the training.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like, this is day one. And she's basically saying, like, we're going easy on you because it's the beginning. So these 2 laps, I love that she's in there at this rate. You won't get around the island for another 2 hours. And aren't you cold? Aren't you tired? Don't you? I mean, like, listen, you want breakfast and stuff like that. Get your butt in gear and let's keep moving. She is a drill sergeant who keeps pushing. I love that when they get out of the water,
Yeah.
she's like, where is breakfast? And mom's like, oh, yeah, we're heading there. It's about 5 miles at home. It's one of those things. Listen, I'm going to go 20. So, but just understand that, like, after today, we're bumping it up to 25.
And if you fall back, they start over.
Yes.
She's got to keep up the full time. If she falls back, turn around. We start from the beginning.
If you want breakfast.
Yeah. Here's something else
She got no shoes.
No. Yeah, but something else I want to comment on, the boat sequence.
Mhm.
I love that the artist's attention to detail, the cinder block is in the boat.
Yeah.
Again, little attention to detail. I love how the water looks. Again, giving texture to the water and doing some brilliant stuff. But I saw that cinder block, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's good job, man. I like it.
Yeah, everything was cool. The training montage here is actually really great because we keep talking about muscle tone and things like that. You see the abs, you see some of that stuff, that musculature, when you get that lean, strong musculature,
Yeah.
and you see that, it's just something I think a lot of times with female heroes, especially street level ones, that's ignored. And I love when you see stuff like this, because I think something you said when we were talking about issue 1 that like really stands for me is you mentioned Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
I think she's a real life person who has this kind of look about her, and it really shows that level of training. If you're really doing this, you have to develop that level of musculature. And the artist really did a great job of capturing that, not overgoing for the pretty feminine kind of smoother look that they sometimes do, appropriate for certain books. But in this particular case, she's going to war in the ring with Lady Shiva. She better look like this. And I love the choice of really going to what should the artistic style be focused on with this? That to me is, if you're not doing this, you're losing the tone. This stuff adds to the tone of it. I love that it's in the rain, that she's doing all of this. Even the weightlifting. I like lifting. I have a Bowflex and I do that piece. I can't imagine using, and one of the reasons why I have a Bowflex is I don't have a spotter at home. It's just me. So I want to make sure that I'm safe doing it, because I'm worried about, like, if I'm using regular free weights, them slipping and I'm going to hurt myself or something like that. Just not going to be. She is out there with no spotter in the rain with a bar that is getting wet doing benching. And I'm sitting here like, are you crazy? Because the one thing about when you're doing benching like that is the focus on balance, because you're using muscles to keep that evenly balanced as you're doing the benching in order to get the most effective workout from it, while that bar is already slipping. Even if she put powder on her hands, that powder's washed off by the amount of rain there. I love that, like, it just feels very gritty, very dangerous, very like we're pushing ourselves on a very different level. She's struggling to get that where it needs to be in order. And I love that. I feel that's like, why is she fit the way that she is? Why does she look the way that she is? Because we're doing this at this level. And I really loved the choice of the visual look of her in this. I just think it's very gritty and realistic. I love street level characters, big fan of this type of stuff. This was a great choice.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, big time. And again, she's out in the elements. She's not, there's nothing clean, nothing easy, nothing about it. And I do love the fact that with the dialogue, you can tell Mom's standing right there. She's pushing her. 25 more, and we're a quarter of the way there. Come on, push it. 5 more minutes, unless you move, then 10. Mom is right there, not letting her slow down, not letting her to give a moment's rest. Hurry up. This isn't a vacation. There's no beach, no umbrella. Get down there low as you can go. And I absolutely loved them showing just the level of athleticism that Canary has in this. This for me was one of those holy crud moments. Why is she on the Justice League? It's not just because of the Canary cry. It's because she's a legit badass.
Oh yeah. Dude, she's doing like, it looks like she's doing push-ups while being upside down.
Yeah.
And one-handed
Push-ups. Upside down.
Crazy.
You gotta love that, man.
And what I want in my backyard, and my wife won't let me have one, I'm sure. A big tire.
Yeah.
Because that does look pretty cool.
Yeah. They show those, like the World's Strongest Man competition.
Yes.
And those tires that size, these big bulky guys are struggling with it. And Canary's flipping it in the rain, in the mud. She's got like, okay, let's go. I love that.
I don't want one now. I'm going to look stupid to my neighbors.
You get it halfway up and it falls.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I need the neighbors to come over to help me get out. It's like, it's a bad scene.
Lift that up off of you again.
Yeah. After we YouTube
it. Here's what my stupid neighbor did again.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they've already filmed it. It's an Instagram reel or something like that. Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, I take it back. I don't want the big tire. The fight is really interesting because you get the back to the fight where you're seeing Canary and Shiva go at it, but then father and daughter sitting around the television. I'm glad they brought Dad in. We got to see at least a little of the sequences with Dad and just getting that idea. Again, I love the color toning where it's that blue grayish kind of, we're clearly seeing something that should be on almost like on a black and white television. And I love that kind of look about it.
And I love the fact that Dad isn't completely clear. You look at the artistry, you can see his face, but it's not as clear as Dinah's face, or not as clear as the mom was when they did that flashback sequence. There's some shadow covering his face, not giving the details. Again, really emphasizing, Dad was there. Dad was a part of her life, but this story is about mom and daughter. Those are the two who are clear and concise and crisp. I love that. And I love the look, the excitement she's got on her face as she's watching TV. They're talking about her mom, the vigilante known as the Black Canary. Like, oh, and then they find out, oh no, she's been hurt. I love that the look on her face, and Dad just calmly like, she's fine. I thought that for me, brilliant usage.
But it's a true part of a memory, right? You're going to remember the things you were focused on. So in that memory, she remembers Dad being there. But she was razor focused on the news story and what was going on with Mom. So I love that choice because it does everything you're saying. It shows that you're gonna remember that person being there. But if you were to say, what was Dad wearing? What was Dad's expression? Those type of, she wasn't able to focus on that because of where her memory was. I love that choice. Yeah. That's just really, really brilliant way to set a tone for this piece. Shiva having her way with Black Canary, we needed some more of these sequences just because of it makes it more impressive that this round 2 is something she survived. Again, we're only in round 2 and we're seeing the brutality. It's everything we were saying about the 6 minutes is a long time. And they really do a good job of pushing that piece.
Oh God, yeah. And again, I keep throwing this out there, but I love how the commentary is throwing out the dialogue.
Mhm.
It's not inner dialogue, it's the color commentary talking about the fight. I think that was a brilliant usage. Instead of giving us what Shiva and Canary are thinking, we're getting this outside commentary. For me, it really did help sell the fight. But also, I love just the fact that, again, Shiva is just beating on her head. She's got her down on the mat and she's just starting to death pummel. And again, MMA fights, you see this constantly where they get them pinned down and they just start railing on punches. That's usually when the ref stops the fight because the person can't defend themselves. I love seeing how Shiva starts this death blow and she just starts laying in the fight. And then we flip back to a training montage.
Yeah.
I loved how they did that, where they're setting up, is Canary going to tap? Is this what's going to happen? Okay, back to the thing. So they're doing, again, that brilliant of getting us to the point of, what's next? Okay, back to this. That high and low, raising your energy levels up. I love it.
The dialogue here is something that we don't want to miss because the commentator basically said, I want to paint a picture that we're the best of friends. But I didn't get a chance to talk to her about what she thought about Black Canary as an opponent. I asked her specifically to compare herself to the woman who aimed to take her throne. And this was her answer, word for word, Mike. She is nothing. She is no one. You do not compare God to a pigeon. What a line. As we see her pummeling her. I mean, that fist is coming down. She is delivering crushing blows to the head. The head is flat on the mat, and she is pummeling, like hammering her face over and over again on the side. I mean, ugh. And what she's looking for here is quit. And I loved that. I mean, just because that's the whole point of this. It's like, why is this fight going the way it is? It's because of the fact that what ultimately is being looked for here is one of them has to quit. And here's the thing. Shiva doesn't want her unable to respond. Shiva needs her to respond.
Yeah.
Shiva wants her to say, I quit. Because it's like the ultimate submission to this particular type of, and it's an interesting sort of strategy here. So it's like, why isn't Shiva delivering death blows and things like that? Because for Shiva, it's worth it to her to stretch this out until Black Canary says, I quit. She wants the words.
Yeah.
And that's because she's capable of delivering death blows that I think she has not utilized in this because of the fact that she doesn't want the no response. She needs the response.
Yeah, she doesn't want the knockout. She wants, it's to the pain,
right?
Not to the death. And I love how she's going that route. And again, it fits in this fight sequence. And again, as good of a fighter as Shiva is, she knows the difference between what will kill her and what will hurt. And we're bringing on the hurt. We're not going to kill her. We want her to suffer. We want her to say, I quit. I've had enough. I love seeing that. And I love how we go from that brutal to the massage. Just the mother and daughter. How are you feeling? Oh, like Ollie, every few years, dead. Oh, I love that, how it's this nice calmness. And then you flip the page and you see mom laying on the ground. I'm like, oh no, this is not good.
I did love the thing about her phone. I thought that was a neat little attention to detail where it's like, it's a Justice League phone, Mom. Like, there are alerts set in there. There's my phone set up a certain way that I know I'm able to get things like, this isn't just some phone I can go to Verizon and replace. Like, this is high-end tech with very specialized options available to it. And that piece was the first time we get to see, like, how does Mom explain herself away on that one? You can't. And it's interesting to see mother and daughter mirrored because daughter has been pummeled at this point, laying on the ground. And Shiva's playing it up for the crowd because, again, this is all about her reputation. She thinks she's got it right here. Spits on the face of Black Canary.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, this is somebody who she was a colleague with. And she spits on her face because and I think the commentaries reference that. These two are supposed colleagues, and look what she just did, because that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. And I just loved that. The pacing of this was Shiva thinks she's got it in the bag right now. And she does. Shiva thinks this is it. I've got her. This is going to be the point in time where we're done here.
And again, anybody watching the fight, would have no issues with her if she tapped at this point.
No.
She's lasted longer than anybody thought she would. And she's taken a brutal beating. And I loved how we're seeing Canary down. We're seeing the brutality. And then again, you flip on to the mom coming back.
Yes.
Mom is now home. She got hurt rescuing somebody when she was out on the vigilante. I do love how, again, it's showing mom down, showing Dinah down. It's a brilliant comparison of the two. And again, as you said before, the memory is going to focus on certain things. We see a good shot of the mom, but we also see the bloody rag where mom got hurt. And again, we see the mom yelling at her saying, get out of here.
Well, and I like that the husband, she's asking the husband to do medical work that he can't possibly do. In his mind, like, you need the hospital. We need to take you somewhere serious. And for obvious reasons, she does not want that. She does not want her identity being revealed. And if she goes to the hospital with these kind of injuries, it starts to build a database of a folder, a file that indicates, why is this woman getting hurt so bad? What's going on? I just heard about Black Canary getting hurt like this. I mean, it's at a time where that secret identity is very important to her. You get why she's like, you can't. This is over if you do this, which is the whole thinking process over there. It's a we don't give up in those sequences.
And it's a we don't give up. And then it showing, I love how it's going back and forth between past and present, where you start seeing in the ring, you start seeing her crawling across thing. And the comments are like, wait, oh my God, she's crawling to the ropes. She's crawling. My God, she's still, it's throughout wrestling. I can 100% hear Jim Ross's voice throughout these sequences, you know? And for those who don't know, Jim Ross is a very famous professional wrestling commentator. And I could just hear his voice booming throughout this as she's crawling across the thing. Oh my God, she's crawling to the ropes. And you see that as little Canary is picking up her mom's wig, as little Canary is looking at it and putting it on. And it's that same mirroring of the past and the present of what do we do when we're knocked down? We get back up. And I was so cheering as this is going on. Again, 100% just got you pumped up just seeing her grab the ropes. And I can imagine if we were sitting there watching the pay-per-view, because we would have gotten this pay-per-view if we lived in this world.
Oh, yeah.
We would have been like, yeah, Canary. Yeah, we would have been hollering, high-fiving, all that kind of craziness. Oh, my God, I love this moment.
This would have been one I considered flying to.
Yeah.
In true fashion. Like, I mean, there's certain ones you want to be at. This would be one like, ooh, do we want to be at that? And more than likely, you're right, it probably would have been a pay-per-view. Have you seen these venues that they have now where it's like a virtual?
Yeah.
Almost. I think they're supposed to be putting one in Cleveland where the old stadium, with the stadium move, I think that's supposed to go there, which would be kind of a cool place to see like a fight or a wrestling event or something like that, because I've heard that in some ways it's better because of the way the virtual experience is with that whole thing.
It like movie theaters do that for some of the pay-per-views and stuff like that. And you could get a big venue kind of thing. And again, that would be a neat thing to go see some of these fights at. But one of the things I did love, again, as we get to the ending sequence where Dinah's with the mom and you're showing Dinah in the ring wiping off the spit off her face and just a look of the determination. I love how the mom is like, you have to show them what I did, who I am, who we are. Dinah Drake Lance, you have to win. And I tell you, reading that sequence right there made me go, she's being paid to take a dive in the 6. Is she actually going to? I wonder what's going to happen here. This right here, this sequence made me wonder, is she actually going to do it?
One of the pieces that I don't want to gloss over, though, is right beforehand when she saw her mother go through that brutality and she grabbed the wig as a kid. Yeah. She put the wig on. And from that experience of watching what her mom was going through there, she put on the wig and was looking in the mirror while she's wearing that Wonder Woman outfit. Yeah. She put on that wig and looked in the mirror. She wants to be her mom.
Yeah, whole big time.
And it's interesting with the brutality she just saw and what her mom went through. She admires and wants to be her mom. It leads to the sequence you're talking about and adds, I think, another layer to it. When you get to see this is something she's wanted since her childhood. She's seen the worst of the worst. And yet she still wanted to do that. Super, super cool.
And also going on that, I love the commentary as this is going on with the two guys going back and forth, and they're like, "I'm not a mind reader, Mike, but I can take a guess as to what I think something. The simple answer to the best answer. Agree. The simple answer here is black. This is Black Canary. This is one tough customer, and she just wasn't ready to quit."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, yeah!" And again, going back to what you're saying. This is her as a little kid watching her mom say, "I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to the hospital. We're going to fight through this right here and right now." And again, laying the groundwork of who she is, who she's been her whole life. I love this.
Issue number 3, the cover. I actually love that we've got Mom clearly in a very bad state on the front of the cover, but in the back of her hospital gown is we see the fight going on.
Yeah.
That was a really good choice for the cover. I thought it was just a very, very clever cover choice. I always admire artists when they're like, okay, how can we do something a little bit different? Highlight the story that's going on unfolding in the pages while at the same time giving you a cover that's just kind of like got some pop. And ooh, it's an engaging cover.
I often wonder, like, what kind of direction they're given on covers. The artists, are they told this is what we want, or is it like, okay, give us a cover? I always wonder what kind of direction.
I'm sure it probably depends on like how far along they are in the process.
Yeah.
Do you do pacing? You've got to know pacing wise, I think, where that story is going to be. Try to give them enough details so that way they can put a cover that thematically works. I would imagine this was a pretty collaborative story just because of how well it's put together. So the covers seem to be very indicative of a collaborative story.
Yeah,
because sometimes covers come before, right? Yeah. I mean, I know with certain artists, the covers come before they got a chance to get the word going. So, and sometimes the covers are themed differently. They're themed to like a monthly event or something like that they've got doing. So, in this case, clearly, it's tied very closely to what's going on in the book. Ted Grant, the interview with him is a way to kick off issue number 3. He's a man of few words.
5 to be exact.
Yes, yeah. That was really, really cool because the questions are very lengthy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how the commentators like sitting there saying, I've got to... let me try to turn this into something and focuses on the tough one piece just to kind of to branch that one out. This is a very cool training sequence because she's now stepped on up. Dude, I've tried hitting I used to in my basement at my Seminole, my old house. I had cinder block walls. And I used to do I'm not saying like hard. I was punching the wall to kind of like build up knuckle resistance and that type of thing. I was by no means punching the wall on a level or be knocking down tree trunks.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know like how that hurts when you do. You got to be very careful in how you're doing it so you're not hurting yourself in the process. I'm not pretending I was anywhere like an inkling near what she's doing here. I'm more illustrating the fact that the light level that I was doing it, I know like the pain involved. She's kicking a tree to the point the trunk is coming down. She's actually knocking that off. The canary cry is what really does things in. That was her reaction to frustration, anger, rage, everything that like she needed at this point has been welling up in her training. It was a lashing out that she needed at this point. I was glad to see her let that out and vent. Sometimes things are so out of your control. You need to release your emotions in order to get back and regroup. She needed that in that moment. I did not expect this is where we're going to get Batman.
Yeah, I know. Me neither.
It was a great choice of where to get Batman.
Yeah. And again, it's funny always when you see Batman out in the daylight, and always is something. But again, brilliant artistry on this, in that we got a nice shadowing of, because you need to have Batman in the shadows. Batman looks the coolest in the shadows. And I loved how this initial opening sequence of him is right there, and then ding, and we're back to the fight.
Yep.
Great way to open up again, showing the flashback, everything you say with her kicking the tree, the frustration of everything going on with mom, lets out a canary cry, and then you got the bat, and then we're back to the fight. And I like how, again, the fight starts off with, once again, Canary goes to go for an offense, and Shiva immediately counters it and turns it into her own offense. And not only is he turning it, she's amplifying it even more. Shiva's starting to trash talk her. Yeah, we saw it at the end when she spit on her. Now she's even adding into it with the bird. What kind of bird are you? Don't you fly? I love just how, again, Shiva is now taking it up a notch.
She threw her out of the ring into the hard ground and the hard chairs. Like, there's no,
fans.
yes. I mean, she cleared out some space. I mean, that adding insult to injury there. But injury is a key part there. That was brutal.
Yes.
Ollie Queen, and so we're getting like a flashback here now of Ollie Queen interacting with Vandal Savage. And this was all Vandal Savage wanting the Black Canary and Green Arrow there so he could have the conversation with Black Canary.
Yep.
This is the brilliant strategy of Vandal Savage. A lot of times gets ignored. And I love when you do sequences like this. He took those arrows for the purpose of, I need to take down Green Arrow so I can have an uninterrupted conversation. It was really, really cool. He's got a table with wine sitting there waiting for the conversation he's going to have with Black Canary. Like, this level of strategy in that was so cool.
The strategy of Vandal Savage is absolutely brilliant. Yep. And again, I love this sequence. Again, when it came through, I was like, what? Oh, okay, this is the backstory of how he approached her. Nice. So again, we got another flashback back inside the flashback. But again, I love the fact that he takes out Ollie without so much as of a struggle, and Canary is, again, she's ready to fight. He's like, hold on, let's just talk. Let's just talk this out. Yeah, I got a proposition for you. And I loved how he went through and broke down what's going on. He's like, just relax. And I thought that for me was a really cool moment of, again, this comfort that some of these heroes have with these villains. They can have these conversations. It's not just about punching them or hit the Carrie Canary and blast him into next Tuesday. There is more to, again, her intelligence, his intelligence. It was nice.
What's interesting about this is this sets the stage for the fact that Vandal knows.
Yeah.
Because he's had conversations with the mother. There's been a history between the two of them. He knows. And this issue really starts to lay out more and more. I'm glad they didn't reveal this in issue 1. The pacing of us knowing that something was going on with Mom in issue 1 was important. Knowing that there's more to this was something that was really important. We've gotten until issue 3 now, and we really didn't know, like, what's Vandal's motivation? Is it just that he's trying to make money? Yes, but there's more to it than that in this chess game with him. And here's the thing, deep down, I think he wants to help the mom. But he wants to help her while helping himself at the same time. I think he wants both. And I think he believes that he can get Dinah to do what he wants her to do in this piece. I think you're talking about strategery with Vandal Savage. I think very much Vandal's looking at this as, this could work.
Well, and like later in the issue, when they show them talking, he breaks down how, when he says he knows what's wrong with her, and she even asks him, do you have a cure? And he laughs because he knew he couldn't lie to her.
Right.
She'd see through it. And he just laughs it off. And he knew if he asked her, do you want the cure? She'd say no. She wouldn't take the cure from Vandal Savage. She wouldn't take it from him because they've been such bitter enemies. But I do love the fact that even in those moments, they could still have that conversation. I do think he does want to help her. He flat out does want to help her, but it is, as you said,
it's on his terms.
It's on his terms. Yeah.
It's very, 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 very intriguing, like how this story goes and his motivations. I really, really enjoy this. The piece with Lady Shiva, like, Black Canary is in the crowd, down and out. This is where wrestling's entering into this.
Yeah.
Because, except this is not like we are staging this in such a way where they're athletes. And the trust here is, we're going to do this. It's going to hurt, but we're trying to do this in such a way where somebody does not get seriously hurt.
Yeah.
Because where I'm a big fan of wrestling is when you sit there and say, okay, they're doing these death-defying moves, and the elegance in the ballet is they're so athletic and so sound in that they're trying to protect the other person when they're doing these devastating moves for the purpose of entertaining us. And you see this, there's intention for entertainment because she wants the legend to spread, but there's also this needs to be the killing blow where, like, enough already. It's time for you to say I quit.
Yeah. Yeah, like in wrestling, you can see when they catch. The person does the flip off the top rope, and you can see the people they're hitting are there in position to catch, so he doesn't crack their skull open. Here, she's laying flat on the ground and she's driving an elbow into the concrete. I'm like, oh, how is that not a death blow? But again, adding to the further on how badass Canary is. I love this sequence. I love this fight sequence, and then it leads into more of the Batman stuff. And these Batman sequences are absolutely brilliant that are coming up. I love the fact that the mom really doesn't have much time for that. The mom is the mom. Yeah, it's Batman. Okay, I don't care. You're late. You got to do your job. You're supposed to be doing this. Oh, so you brought a friend along. That doesn't stop you. That doesn't stop training. Keep going. And I love this, that level of tenacity that the mom has in this training. It's absolutely brilliant.
What's really interesting in this is Batman's reason for being there. I didn't see coming. This is Justice League business.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to know why I'm fighting for money. Apparently it violates some superhero rule, and I'm supposed to feel guilty, super guilty. And I like that Bruce is kind of like, I can give you money. If you need money, I got you covered there. What's going on here? First of all, if she needed money, she wouldn't take it for Bruce anyway.
Right.
She would be too proud to do that. So that would be a thing. I like that he's here realizing, and it came in person. He's there because he knows there's something more. And because he knows Dinah well enough to know there's something more.
Yeah.
Bruce is there for a reason. And I love the writing of that piece. On top of that, you got Mom who's sitting here saying things like, listen, you brought a friend, you did your canary cry. Do you even want to win this piece? I'd rather be doing anything else than babysitting in this type of scenario. And like Dinah's kind of like, I doubt that. You love this right now. And it was really just a very well-written sequence right there. In the fight, when Ted's watching, she slams her head into the stairs because she's like, we are going to just this brutality. And I love that they're sitting there in the commentary. Absolutely beautifully brutal in the commentary. I'm sitting here like, she is deliberately, Ted is like staring her down, and Shiva's recognizing like, all right, Ted, you want to come at me? Let's go ahead and do this right now. And this is where I think Shiva sort of made a mistake. Her ego's going in there because she starts to pummel Ted in the face, very similar to how she's pummeling Black Canary. That's not going to get Black Canary to tap out. That's just going to tick her off.
That's going to piss her off. Oh, God, yeah.
Which is really, really interesting here as far as what is her motivation there. I get it that Shiva was... This is her being badass and showing that she's badass and that Ted shouldn't have entered into the game. But it really does have a significant after effect of now you're motivating this girl even more to like stick around. In round 3, where things have like she's gone longer than she should have already anyway, according to everybody.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And again, I love this sequence because it shows Ted being Ted. He 100% had to do something because that's thing. Shiva goaded the fight. And I do like the fact that Ted did not stand a chance against Shiva. He shouldn't have. Shiva is that good of a, Ted's awesome, but Shiva is so much better. And I love the fact that Shiva completely destroys Ted the way she's been destroying Canary. In the moment, that little grin on her face as she pummels she kicks Ted in the head as he's on the ground. I thought that, again, artistry look on her face was absolutely brilliant. Same thing in the moment, the little grin she gives to Ted when Ted's like, don't. And she just looks at him and just gives that grin and then slams Canary's head into the steps. That same kind of grin is what she gives to Dinah when she does it to Ted. Really good. Again, it's her goading into the fight, and on one,
she'll go to any lengths. That she will go to any lengths to win this fight. That's the message she's trying to send.
Yes, and I love how she did that and why she did that. But I also do love that it did backfire on her.
Yes,
that it didn't act because again, it makes sense what she's doing in one way because she's showing, as you said, Dinah, I will go to any lengths to win this fight. Will you? I am a killer. Are you? And I love just that moment where she's kind of letting her know what to expect.
So Ted's unconscious after all this. I love that the fans are cheering because that's their champion. She's best of the best. So they're cheering her even though she's done these heinous things, which is part of the fight, right? This is supposed to be that it keeps going until somebody quits. The fight with Bruce, where there's the sparring session, and Bruce is like truly trying, he knows something else is up. It's like, you're not going to tell me, are you? She's like, what? Why? And the fight just between the two of them, she takes Batman down, and she just looks at him and says, she lies to him. I'm doing it because I'm better than her. If you don't understand that, it's because you're not.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a small element of that in Black Canary that's there, but we know the real motivation is not that at all. It's the what's going on with her mom, but she can't reveal that. And it's something I love that she goes in with the world's greatest. You call my boyfriend world's greatest detective. What's going on? All right. It was such a familiarity between them as colleagues in the dialogue. I love stuff like that. I love when people, I'm a Batman junkie. I do love when people call him out, and it's done so authentically like this. This really is two very close friends who he's mad at her because he came here for the purpose of, as a friend, we're not going to do this from the bringing in impersonal people. I'm going to come down and talk to you as a friend. Find out what's really going on, what you need. He's there to help.
Yeah.
He really is there for the purpose of trying to help, but does it in a Bruce Wayne way.
Now, one thing I do wonder, does Mom know the secret identity?
Not if he's wearing that mask.
He's wearing the mask. So, or is he just keeping the mask on because he's Batman? I don't know. That's the thing.
I don't think Mom knows the identity.
Yeah. And the other thing, again, art choice. I love the fact that they do show the Bat utility belt hanging on the one ring post.
Yeah.
I thought that was, again, neat little art stuff that they do.
Yeah. And he's fighting her like Shiva would.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, actually, considering what we know from Night's End. Why would you want to spar with Batman? Because of that. Batman's not going to go to the ruthless level with her, though, that Shiva will.
Yeah.
Because he's Batman.
And that's the key. And again, it's everything you're saying. I love how Dinah takes him down. And then I love when they go back to the ring. Yeah. Shiva is taunting and cheering in the crowd. And Dinah just slowly crawls into the ring, pulls herself back up. More. I love that. That page there, they've got her eye is bleeding. Her mouth is busted open. She's wearing the crimson mask, and she just says, more. I'm like, oh, that is awesome. That right there, that's intimidating. That if you're Shiva and you look across the ring and go, I just did all this to her, and she's standing asking for more. What do I have to do to stop this woman? That's got to be going through Shiva's head when you see that.
I love the artistry of the swollen eye.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It under the on the left side, but you get it really is like really detailed, and it throws the whole fight thing. We continue the Vandal Savage conversation, a lot of which we've already talked about at this point. I love that Ollie wakes up and it's based down as like, I won. Vandal and I fought and I won. Vandal throws himself down to basically build that story, because they've got a cover for the fact that he doesn't want Ollie to know what's really going on here. She doesn't want Ollie to know what's really going on here.
Well, Ollie would say no.
Right.
Flat out. Ollie would be like, no, you can't do that. We'll find another way. We'll find a cure. Well, Ollie would immediately go into you can't owe Vandal Savage a favor.
Right.
But you can't do him a favor, because once you get tied in, you're in for life. And I love the fact that how she handles this, that she's like, she knows this, so she doesn't have to have this conversation. She doesn't have to have that. She's like, yeah, okay, we're in.
This is really interesting because we get the fight, and the fight now is turned into a back and forth between the two of them. So we're ending off round 3 with just she's kicking Canary, Canary's kicking her. It's a fun fight, all that back and forth. This ending sequence with Batman is really good. I've fought her many times, and she's like, well, what do you think? I think you'll lose. That's why I know you're lying. And I love that she's coming back with, I am so tired. It doesn't matter. Not even a tiny bit. Still got to get up early. Still got to. Hell, how it is. Those trees aren't going to knock themselves down. And she basically saying to him, I'm not going to reveal this. I'm not going to reveal this. I got to get back to work. And I just thought a very honest conversation between two friends where he at a certain point in time has to accept that. I just thought it was just such a well put together issue and such a great cliffhanger for us to leave off on as we discuss this. I am so glad we did this one.
Oh, God.
This is a story I've been dying to talk about. And I hope for somebody listening to this that if you had not been reading this, that we've given you enough reason in the first half to go and read the rest of it for part 2, because we are giving commentary based on our experience with it. Experience a story. This is really a good story. And it's something that I really love that we are able to do in the podcast, is hopefully point people to things that they may have missed they may have missed that they should read. And this was one of them, one of the better things I've read in a while.
Dude, I'll tell you, I'm so happy we are talking about this because I absolutely love this story.
Yeah.
And again, I know the ending. I'm not spoiling anything yet, but it gets better.
Yeah.
In my opinion, as much as, and you've heard how much I love these first 3 issues, the next 3 are better. I absolutely love this story. And so 100%, anybody out there, give this a read. You will love it.
I'm literally, after we get off this podcast, I'm going to start reading them.
Yeah.
I've been waiting so long to do it because I really wanted to do this story. And I'm so glad that we're at this point where I can finally start reading this, because I've got multiple read-throughs of it before our next episode, just to make sure that I'm ready to go. This is something that I consider important, though. Take a chance on miniseries. It's something where we as comic fans should need and crave for things like this, because a lot of times people will talk about, there's 87 Wolverine books, there's 87 Batman books, there's 87 Spider-Man books, certain characters where we're getting more and more books with those characters. There's so many Superman books and those type of things. The reason why is because they sell. And here's the thing, we've got usually top tier talent that are on those books because they're premium books. And you got a chance to get to a larger audience. So those have got to be able to be an author and be able to tell stories with those iconic characters, knowing you're going to be hitting a wide audience base. It's got to be thrilling. I equally need stuff like this where if you told me that on my bucket list for this year was going to be the chance to talk about a Black Canary miniseries. I love Black Canary. I love Birds of Prey. I knew I'd be in on it, but oh my gosh, this is drool worthy. This is stuff, you saw me gushing for years over. That was how I got you hooked on Gail Simone, was how good Birds of Prey was back when she did it. This is that level. This is what I love about Black Canary. This is a writer who understands, I think, what was established there with that character in Birds of Prey and how they've continued to evolve her. I can't wait to talk about the next episode. This is great stuff.
His gauntlets possess awesome powers.
RagingBullets.com is our show website. That's where you're going to find information on upcoming episode releases. It also feeds into our Facebook fan page. It feeds into our X/Twitter page as well. We are proud to be part of an amazing Facebook group community, and I really love the fact that articles and feedback on episodes, there's links to blogs, and just anything that's really relevant to the overall comic book and pop culture world is constantly being put up there. I appreciate everybody who's there as a team who are just constantly posting new content up there just for releases. I posted recently, actually, in Cleveland, the Superman statue was unveiled. This is something that's been put on by the Siegel-Schuster Society. I put links up there not only to the Instagram posting that shows the statue itself, but if you want to see the live stream of the unveiling, which members of the Siegel-Schuster Society were a part of, there's a chance to see that. Those links are on our Facebook group as well. So please check that out. And thank you to everybody who continues to post there. The About Us section is where you can find out how to connect with us on personal social media and gaming platforms. I'm a regular co-host on Is It Jaws, which is a film review podcast using the Jaws 1 through 4 scale. So if you're into film, please consider checking out that podcast as well. Mr. Seguin, we're sponsored as always by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. What's going on over at DCBS?
We have Batman R.I.P. Absolute hardcover, 38% off $62. DC's Satanic Panic one-shot Halloween special, 38% off $6.19. And if you do a search for Black Canary, you can see the pick up the issue number 2 of Best and the Best cover that both Sean and I gushed over. That's 40% off, only $2.99. So thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, they have their deals of the week. Creature Commandos present Frankenstein, Volume 2, $29.99 regularly, 48% off, only $15.59. Justice League International Trade Paperback Book 2, $39.99 regularly, 48% off, only $20.79. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support our show. Our next episode, we're coming back with Black Canary Best of the Best, Part 2. See you then.
Bye.
Them are back again, talking comic books with all their friends.
They'll spoil a story and break it down. These two guys talking comics are the best around. Raging Bullets,
The podcast show.
Raging Bullets.
The podcast show.